Namaste and welcome to the beaches. This flow is a flow for our rehab warrior beaches. Disclaimer, it is not set up to be a diagnostic tool, so if you have an injury, go see a doctor. Don't take my word for it. Anyways, so this flow is set up for our SI joint or sacroiliac joint. It's part of the low back. A lot of people tend to have a lot of pain in the low back. It's usually, and I say usually, see your doctor, associated with your SI joints. We have a lot of instability in these areas, whether it's weak glutes or tight hip flexors or a little bit of both. So this flow is really set up to strengthen, stabilize, and release issues around the SI joint. Just a really kind of warming up our muscles with sun salutation. So we're gonna start standing at the top of our mat, and we're gonna just get started with this flow. Let's do this. Come to a forward or a standing mountain pose at the top of our mat. From here, we're gonna inhale, raise our arms up for a tall mountain, do a little back bend, and then exhale, forward fold. Plant your palms, left leg steps back, drop that back knee, and you're either gonna stay here with your hands on the mat, or if you want a little bit more of a hip opener, hands come to your thigh. If you've done any of my flows before, you know that this is a normal warm-up sun salutation. It's one of my favorites. Good. From here, plant your hands on the mat. You're gonna take that right foot back for a plank pose. The reason I like plank pose, I'm gonna make you hold it for a second, is because you have to tighten your abs, but you also have to tighten your glutes. Glutes. Good. You can either stay here and lower down through chaturanga, or you can lower your knees and lower down through modified chaturanga. Whatever feels best for you, lower down. You're gonna flip your back toes, come up for up dog, and then you're gonna send your butt back for down dog. From down dog, take your left foot, step it between your hands, lower that back knee, and again, uncurl your toes, and you can either stay with your hands on the mat or rise up for a nice hip flexor stretch. You wanna tighten your glutes on the right side. It's okay to tighten them on the left, it's just they're stretched out. And you're just gonna really sink into this front hip here. Right leg goes out long, left is bent, sinking into it. Good, and then when you're ready, you're gonna plant your hands, curl your back toes, and step forward for a forward fold at the top of the mat. Good, inhale, rise up, tall mountain, and we're gonna go through that one more time. Exhale, forward fold, plant your hands, left foot steps back, lower your back knee, and once again, so this time you can either just come up with your hands onto your thigh, or hands come together and rise up for a low crescent lunge. Tighten your glutes though in this one to really protect your low back and not overarch when your low back's not ready for it. The other aspect of tightening your glutes is that strengthen those muscles that directly affect the SI joint. Good, and plant your hands, uncurl your back toes, high plank, chaturanga or modified chaturanga, up dog, and down dog. Wonderful, pedal it out, dropping each heel, walking your dog, and then you're gonna take your left foot again, step between your hands, lower that back knee, either stay hands on the mat, hands to your thigh, or they come together and you rise up for a low crescent lunge. Squeeze your right glute, turn the glutes on, and protect your low back. Good, and then hands come to the mat, and your right foot meets the left in a forward fold, bending your knees as generously as you need. Good, inhale, rise up, tall mountain, wonderful. And then hands come to your heart center. I took the wrong side of the mat. So I'm gonna take the top of my mat to be over here, and we're gonna start from here. Apologies about that. So at the top of your mat, we're going to go ahead and forward fold again. We're gonna step back into high plank, but instead of through chaturanga, you're gonna send your butt straight back and come straight into down dog. Wonderful. From down dog, you're gonna take your right foot, step it between your hands, and lower that back foot and knee, and then rise up into that low crescent lunge. Again, once you're here, you want to tighten that left glute and sink into your right leg. And then you're going to extend that front knee and dive forward. Good. You can when you're extending your front knee, you can point your toes or you can curl your toes. A lot of the times the hamstrings attach here into the base of the hip, and a lot of times those can present a problem for the SI joint. So the more you can stretch out those hamstrings, you dig your right heel gently into the mat as you forward fold. It's a little bit more uncomfortable, but it opens up that hamstring just a little bit more. Hip string. What's a hip string? Good. And then sink back forward, and you're gonna come up, hands on your right thigh. From here, we can either stay here, or if we want to open up those hip flexors a little bit more, you can bend that back knee. If you can't reach it with your left hand, then don't worry about it. Just bend it, because that adds a little bit of strength to your hamstrings along with your glutes. If you can reach that back foot, you're holding it into your hand, and you're gonna push your left hand into your left foot into your left hand. Gently pushing and relaxing. Gently pushing and relaxing. Good. So this strengthens while stretching your hip flexors. Wonderful. Drop that back down, and then you're gonna plant your hands and take your right foot back, come back into down dog, and then go ahead and switch sides. So your left foot's gonna come between your hands, lower back down. First, rise up, low crescent, protect your back, tighten your right glute. Good. Hold here, and then extend that front knee and dive forward. Toes can be pointed or curled, but again, you're trying to press that heel into the mat for a little bit of stretch and strength. Good. And then sink back forward. Hands come to your left thigh. You can either stay here, you can bend that back knee. If that's a pretty good stretch for you, you're strengthening your legs, or you can grab and put your right foot into your right hand. If that's a good stretch, stay there, or gently push your right or your foot into your hand. This does two things, stretches and strengthens at the same time, so I count that as one, but it also resets your hips using muscle energy technique. Good. Sorry, my hands got sweaty. And then lower it back down. Take your hands to the mat and step back down for down dog. Good. In down dog, you're just gonna hang out here, stretch out those hamstrings a little bit, and then ground through your left foot, step your right forward, lower that back knee. First, we're gonna come into just a low lunge. Your hands can be wherever you want. Then we're gonna take a little twist to really open up that psoas. So left arm comes forward, and then you're gonna take your right hand, you can bring it forward, and then open it, twisting to the right. Sinking into this. Tightening that left glute if you can. And each exhale, try to twist a little deeper. This takes a little bit of muscle strength, but it also opens up the tight muscles on the other side. Good. And then back to center. And then you're going to plant your hands, and you're going to come first into tabletop position. So your knees are bent, tabletop position, and that same leg, right leg, is going to come straight back and bend your knees. You can either this is tiger pose, you can either just stay here, or if you want to try and open up the hips a little more, take that left hand and reach back to your right, and try to push again that right foot into your left hand. If this is too much, then just stick with tiger pose, which is just right here. But if you can reach it, then you're just gonna push into it. Good, and then lower back down, and then send your butt back for down dog. Wonderful. This time, ground through your right foot, take your left between your hands, lower that back knee. Again, come up high, hands first on your hips, or on your left thigh, and then your right arm comes forward, left comes forward, leave your right hand, left twists back. Sink into it, tighten your right glute, and try and get as deep into that twist as you can. If I get too deep, it cuts off my breath, or my voice. So, easy does it. Good. Back to center, plant your hands. Left foot comes back, tabletop position, and then left foot comes into tiger pose. If this is a good stretch and you feel your glutes are strengthening, stay here. If you want a little bit more, grab with your right hand, left leg, right hand, and gently push into it, and it'll raise you up a little bit more, and then relax it. And then push into it, and then relax. Push into it, and relax. Wonderful. So we're gonna stay in tabletop position, and what I want you to do from tabletop is, sorry, I had to catch my breath. Apparently, I'm forgetting to breathe. Wonderful. So from tabletop position, you're gonna take your right foot, step it between your hands. Your left knee is gonna turn perpendicular to the mat, and you're gonna walk yourself to the back of the mat for first a modified plank pose. So your left knee is bent on the mat. If you need to look up at the camera, you can. And you're here, your arm is up, you're stabilizing with your left hand, left knee. If this is a good right-sided opener here, fabulous, stay here. If you wanna reset your hips a little bit and add a little stability to it, you're gonna take that leg off, bend the knee, and grab it. So right leg, right knee, and you're gonna try and twist your chest to the sky. Your left leg is really working to stabilize, and you're just gently pushing that right leg into your hand. Good. And release, and walk yourself to the front of the mat. Take that right foot back. We're back in tabletop position. This time, take your left leg. Now you'll get to see what it looks like, so I'm gonna face away from the camera. So from here, turn that right back knee, walk yourself, extend that left leg, walk yourself, modified plank pose. Right hand on the mat, right knee. If you feel like you've got a good side body stretch just from here, stay here, or lift that left leg, bend the knee, and grab and twist your chest to the sky. Gently pushing your left foot into your right hand for a little bit more stability. Good. And release, and walk it back to the front of the mat. Excuse my sniffles. Wonderful. And then we're gonna take that left foot, we're gonna come straight into down dog. Wonderful. From down dog, take your right foot, step it between your hands, keep that back knee lifted, and you're gonna rise up into high crescent. From high crescent, you're gonna bring your hands to your chest, heart center, wherever you so choose. Good. Now from here, you wanna tighten this left glute to really keep your hips. You don't want your hips pointing this way. You want them pointing forward. So your hands are at your chest, your glutes are engaged. You can either stay here, or you can take this left elbow to the outside of your right knee, bending forward. Your right knee is pressing into your elbow. This works the outside of your glutes, one of the important stabilizers of our SI joints. You can stay here with your hands together, or you can open your arms, left arm to the ground, right up to the sky. And again, still engage that leg by pressing into your arm gently. Too much and you fall down. Good. And then rise back up, crescent. Extend your front knee and dive forward for a triangle pose, pyramid pose. Excuse me. Good. If this pose is too much on the right hamstring, bring that left foot up to meet the right a little bit more. Excuse me. Apparently I swallowed a bug. Good. So we're really stretching out that hamstring. This is really important for the hips. Wonderful. If you brought that left foot up to a little bit closer, step it back, rise up, crescent. From crescent, you're gonna just push off and come into a balancing posture of warrior three. You can either have your hands up above or bring them to your chest. And we're just gonna balance here. Now what's important is a lot of people wanna open their hips up to the side. We're not doing that right now. So you need to engage your left glute just as much as your right hamstring. And then we're gonna swing forward and come into a standing staff pose. Standing staff pose, knee bent or knee straight, whatever you prefer. And then we're going to come into tree pose. So I always have to take the inside of my foot and put it on the inside of my thigh. So my left foot is on the inside of my right thigh. but your right thigh is pushing into your foot and your left glute is engaged. You're trying to open that hip up. This works the SI joints by compressing them, but it also forces you to engage your pelvic muscles, your glute muscles, all of these muscles that have an involvement in the SI joint stability. Good. And then we're going to take our foot off, and we're going to come into eagle pose. So if you wrap your left foot on top of your right, it doesn't have to wrap all the way around. We're just going to gently sink down into eagle pose. If your hips are really open, you can easily wrap them. If they're not open, then just one on top of the other. Good. And then you're going to come up, you're going to put your right or your left ankle on top of your right knee for a standing pigeon pose. So if you just are here, you're standing, you have a little bend in your right knee, that's fine. If you want to really stretch out that left glute, dive forward for a one-legged pigeon forward fold. That's a mouthful. Good. The more you bend that right knee, the more you'll stretch out that left hip. Wonderful. And then rise back up, staff pose. Drop that knee, keep the foot bent or the knee bent, and then you're going to grab your left foot with your left hand, either the inside or the outside of the foot. You're just going to dive forward a little bit for just a really small dancer's pose. We're not coming much more parallel to the ground than this, and all we're doing is just trying to stretch and stabilize. Your right leg should be on fire by now. Good. And then just release it. First come into staff pose, and then dive all the way forward for a one-legged forward fold. That left leg, you're just initiating the glutes again. It doesn't matter how high that left leg goes. Mine rarely goes higher than this. But what's most important is that my glute is firing. Good. And then drop that to the ground, forward fold. Your right leg should be on fire. Your left leg should feel very stretched. Good. And then we're going to plant our hands. We're going to go straight to down dog. Wonderful. Now let's make our left leg burn the same as our right, because that's what you do. You're going to take your left leg, step it between your hands, rise up, high crescent. Once again, keep your hips pointed forward. Sorry guys, this is like the third one I've filmed today, so my voice is starting to lose it. Okay. From here, hands to your chest, to your sternum, to your heart center. Right elbow comes to the outside of your left knee. And again, your left knee is going to push gently. Don't do it so much that you feel like you're going to fall. And you can stay here, or you can open up your wings. Right arm to the mat, left up to the sky. Left glute is still engaged. The leg is still active. Good. Rise back up, high crescent. We'll come into pyramid pose. If you need to bring that right foot a little closer, extend your left leg and dive forward. Really open up those glutes. Glutes, hamstrings, they're all connected. Big breath in and a big breath out. Good. Rise back up, high crescent. And again, we're going to push off and come into a warrior three. Hands can be up above your head, or you can bring them to your heart center. Once again, engage your glutes on both sides. Don't just let one leg be floppy. Both are engaged. And swing it forward, come into a staff pose. Knee bent. We'll come into tree pose. You can bring your hands to your chest. You're going to bring that right foot to the inside of your left thigh. Engage your left thigh. Engage your right glute. Stability. Good. And then from here, your right foot or right knee is going to come on top of your left. Bend that knee. And you either can just leave it like this, the toe just doing whatever, or you can wrap it around all the way around your left leg, whatever your hips are open for. If you're unable to wrap it around, it could be your hips are so tight it's affecting the SI joint. There's a little tidbit for you. So maybe you need to open up your hips a little bit more. Good. Rise back up, and then you're going to bring your right knee, ankle on top of your left knee for a standing pigeon pose. The more you bend your left knee, the more you'll stretch out that glute on the right side. You can either stay here up tall, or you can forward fold over that leg and bend that left knee a little bit more for a nice folded pigeon. Stretch out those glutes. Feels great. It's one of my favorite. Best hip opener. Good. And then rise up, staff pose. Drop that knee, but keep it bent. Right hand comes to right foot. And then open it up for a dancer. Not a full dancer, just a modified dancer. Good. And then release and keep that foot engaged and forward fold one-legged. Right foot is coming up in the air. Again, it doesn't matter how high it goes, just engage the glute. And then drop that foot down. Good. Forward fold. And then rise up. And then we're gonna sink into chair pose. So lower your butt down, bend your knees. Your arms are, I grasp mine together, you don't have to. But you're gonna try and keep your full body engaged. Don't overarch or over curl your butt. Keep those arms engaged up by your ears and sink into this. Exhale, forward fold. Plant your hands. Come down into high plank, chaturanga, up dog, and down dog. Ground through your left foot, send your right straight back, step between your hands, curl or turn that back arch, and rise up for a warrior one. Good. And you're trying to keep your left glute engaged to keep that hip turned forward. For one, it engages your glutes, and for two, it's proper alignment. It'll really support that SI joint. Good. Hands to the mat, high plank, chaturanga, up dog, and down dog. Ground through the left foot, through the right foot, send the left straight back, and then step between your hands, turn that right back arch, rise up, warrior one on the other side. Good. Again, keep that glute engaged, keep those hip points pointed as far forward as you can. And then plant your hands, high plank, chaturanga, up dog, and down dog. Look at your hands and walk your feet to your hands at the top of the mat, forward fold. And then inhale, rise up, chair pose once again. Hands can be free or hands can be clasped together. Good. And then from here, rise up, mountain pose. Inhale, arms come up. Exhale, forward fold. Step back into down dog. Right foot comes between, and then turn that back arch. First, warrior one. Rise up. Open it up. Warrior two. You're going to reverse your warrior, so left hand comes to your left leg. Right arm goes backwards. You can look up at the camera if you need to. Good. And then back into warrior two. Hands come behind you, and you're going to sink forward for a humble warrior. Your shoulders can dip as low down as you need them to come. Good. Rise back up, warrior two. And then hands to the mat, high to low we flow. Chaturanga, up dog, down dog. Switch sides, your left leg comes between your hands. Turn that back arch, rise up, warrior one. Open it up, warrior two. Good. Reverse your warrior and come back into warrior two. Our hands come behind you. Squeeze those shoulder blades together. And then lower down for humble warrior. Wonderful. And then come back up, warrior two. And then we'll meet high to low, plank pose, chaturanga, up dog, and down dog. Wonderful. So from here, you're going to ground through your left foot, send your right foot straight back, and bend that top knee and open up towards the sky. Good. I forgot where we're going. Just kidding. Take your right foot to the outside of your right hand, and we're going to come into lizard pose. In lizard pose, your right foot is on the outside of your right hand. Your back knee starting out is lifted. And then you're gonna lower it back down. And you can either stay with your hands on the mat, or you can lower all the way down onto your forearms, and your right foot is coming out onto the knife's edge. So you're rotating out onto the outside of your foot. Wonderful. Now from here, if you're getting this is a good hip capsule opener, but it also has some movement in that SI joint. They're all connected. But then next, you're gonna rise back up, and you're gonna rise up. Now, if this is comfortable, your left hand is gonna be on the mat. You're gonna twist off to the right, looking up at the ceiling. If this is a good stretch, stay here. If you want a little bit more, bend that left knee and reach towards it with your right hand. So right hand to left foot. If you cannot reach, that's fine. It's more important to bend and reach rather than actually get there. Big breath in and out. Wonderful. And then we're going to send that right foot first straight back, and then right knee is going to come to the inside of our right wrist and drop down for pigeon pose. So if you can see, my knee is bent. We're either staying here or we're coming down onto our forearms, starting out with a nice forward folded pigeon on the floor. Now, if we want a little bit more, so if we feel like this is a good piriformis stretch, our hips are tight, this is enough, stay here. If we want to initiate both our glutes on the right and our hip flexors on the left, rise up and come into king pigeon. So your left foot is gonna come as, you can either just grab it or you're gonna bring it to the inside of your elbow. If you're able to, I usually fall over. You can bring your right arm up and over. I usually just leave it on the mat for stability. Little podium. Good. You're just gently pushing into this left elbow, left leg, and then drop it back down. Come back into down dog, and now ground through the right, send the left straight back, bend that knee, and open up towards the sky. Good. And then step left foot to the outside of your left hand, and come into pigeon pose, lizard pose. A lot of animals in yoga. You can keep that back knee lifted if you want to, or you can drop it back down, come onto the knife's edge of your left foot and lower onto your forearms. And this really stretches out this hip capsule. You can even rock back and forth if you want to open it up more. Good. And then rise up, right hand on the mat. You're gonna flatten that foot a little bit. You can either just twist off to the left, looking at the sky, or bend that left or right knee and reach towards it with your left hand, gently pressing into it. You might notice one side is tighter than the other. Good. And then drop it down, and then you're gonna come into three-legged dog, so send that left foot back, and then left knee to the inside of the left wrist, drop it down, pigeon pose. Good. From pigeon pose, you can either stay here or you can come onto your forearms for a nice folded pigeon. Wonderful. If you feel like this is a good stretch, your piriformis is opening up, awesome. If you want to open it up a little more and open up the hip flexors, bend that knee and come into king pigeon on the other side. Again, I keep my left arm down for a little kickstand, but whatever works for you. And again, if you just gently push that hip flexor, that right leg into the left, just opens it up a little more. Good. And then you're just gonna bring that right foot around, and you're gonna come into Yogi Squat at the top of the mat. So your feet are gonna be mat distance apart, kind of pointed out. You're gonna push yourself up into Yogi Squat. So from here, it's important that as your elbows are pushing into your knees, that you're really tightening your glutes. You can just stay here, but if you tighten your glutes, you're working those muscles that stabilize the SI joints while stretching the muscles that are usually tight because the glutes are weak. Good. If you want to stay here, you can. If you want to open up a little more, right arm comes to the mat and left arm comes up to the sky, twisting. Good, glutes engaged. And then left arm comes to the mat, right arm comes up, glutes engaged. Good, and back to center. And then when you're ready, lower back down onto your butt. And from here, you can either take Shavasana if you prefer. This could have been your workout flow, or this could have been one of your rehabilitation flows, whatever you would like. If you'd like to come Shavasana, corpse pose, take up your mat, lay down, find your breath again, or that's the flow. So this really, like I said, the glutes are really important for SI joint stability. And a lot of times if our hip flexors are tight, it's usually covering up for an inhibition of our glute muscles. So our glutes aren't as strong as they should be. So this flow really opens up hip flexors while strengthening them and causes you to focus in on tightening your glutes up. So I really recommend this flow. I recommend it for anybody, but if you just think you're having some low back pain, you want to test it out, again, not a diagnostic tool, go see your doctor, but it's something that can just help you perform at a better, more optimal range by strengthening these really important core and hip muscles. So this is our Namaste Rehab Warrior channel. Check it out, like, share, subscribe. If you ever think you're having some issues and you'd like to do some private lessons, go ahead, shoot me an email, shoot me a comment down below. Namaste Beaches would love to help you optimize your game and get you back to the next level. We'll see you on the mat next time, guys. Namaste Beaches.